Hi guys. Thank you for that, Guru. Much appreciated. In terms of the introduction, just one thing I would like to say, we didn't just do lift and shift. We did actually do quite a lot of proper crowd orchestration in our transformation. But there is quite a lot of lift and shift in our environment on an ongoing basis. Tell you a little bit about me. My name's Reid. I've been working for Elsevier for about 6 years. I joined the organisation just about when we were on the cusp of doing what I would call a business transformation. There was a lot of talk earlier on about digital transformation, but actually we did actually transform our business. We shifted quite significantly from the position we were in previously, which was as a publishing company who basically published books and journals. And I'll tell you a little bit about that now in terms of Elsevier and its overall story. So, science and medicine make discoveries every single day. Yep. Generations ago, this used to take months, used to take years. Now, the rate of change within these particular environments is astronomically faster than it ever was before. And whilst that actually enriches science and it enriches the medical environment, it's really tough for researchers to stay abreast of all of that knowledge. Yeah? We generate petabytes of information and knowledge. Yeah? What Elsevier has been historically really good at doing is curating that information and publishing it and making it available for researchers. But actually, those researchers need to go and find the information, read those journals, and read that documentation. So what do you do to start to accelerate that science and health environment, or the research of science and health? So what we've effectively done is we've decided to grow our roots from that publishing environment and actually start to move into artificial intelligence and actually to start to build platforms and services that actually allow our organisation to deliver a service effectively to researchers either in the science or medical arena. So effectively we've been applying cognitive technologies that maps the patient data in terms of the health environment and claims data sets to repositories that actually give researchers in that space access to support their clinical decisions, to cure people, fundamentally, or to come up with a cure for people. So, obviously, we've clearly evolved beyond publishing, so we're applying technologies to make this analysis a lot easier. And that enables kind of better management and more efficiency, and ultimately, it's an enabler for breakthroughs in science and health. So, tell you a little bit about Elsevier today. So, we're a global information analytics company, yeah. So that's based on our roots that we had in publishing and research, stretching back to 1880. Some of you may have heard of the Lancet. I think we published the Lancet. We're part of the Relic group. That includes Reid Exhibitions. It also includes Reid Business Information, LexisNexis Risk. For those of you who think it's quite cool, we actually own Comic-Con. So we generate $3.2 billion of revenue, and 83% of our business is now digital. Yep. So we've got about 8,000 employees, 7,900, 8,000 employees. Many of them actually come from the science and medical background. Yeah. So these are guys who've actually come into our organisation to aid that science and medicine research agenda. So now we're a technology business. We employ 1,500 technologists. That's up from 600 technologists not too long ago. And then effectively, we apply machine reading and artificial intelligence to structured data. The one point I would make, and this is the sales pitch for Elsevier, we're still hiring. So this was the technology vision that was set in 2013 by our CIO, Dan Olley. It's clear at the time that we really needed to evolve to actually meet the demands of our business. So this was about our business evolving to meet the demands of research across the globe. Obviously, we needed to change the way we deliver technology on an ongoing basis. So, obviously, this is very much from my perspective. 5, 6 years ago, I was looking at this organisation thinking, whoa, we've got a lot of tools, yeah? We've got data centres, yeah? We manually report things. We've got a lot of availability issues, which I'll go on to in a little bit. And we have some aging data centres that cost us lots of dollars. We talked a little bit earlier about, how you can prevent being paged. Well, I think I was struggling to prevent being paged in a big way. So, we wanted to work in an agile culture. We understood that we wanted to basically move to DevOps, We had a lot of external resources. We had a lot of third parties, ultimately, who were delivering services to us. And ultimately, we wanted to do this internally. We wanted to take ownership for our stuff, yeah, and actually drive the business agenda. So it wasn't a great position to be in. So what I wanted to really do, this is kind of how it felt. Yeah? So we talk about not being called out. It's 3 a.m. Pick a year, any year. This is probably from going back from 1989 onwards. But it's 3 a.m. Hey, guys, the app's broken. Yeah? The ops manager, me. What broke, folks? Yeah. Tech support. Well, the app's fine. Database is fine. Infrastructure's fine. So my question was always to these guys, why doesn't it feel fine? Yeah? Every single one of them is looking at a different console, a different set of data, and none of them could bring this together. And I spent many hours of my life, many candles were burnt at both ends, and, you know, a lot of people left the organizations that I worked for because they just got, frankly, fed up for being called out in the middle of the night. So what did we decide to do as a tech group? Well, clearly, we needed to do something. We had 12,000 servers, about 450 products. We wanted to move all of that to the AWS cloud. Now, some of it we did lift and shift. Some of it we actually did migrate properly, and some of our flagship products took us 4 years to actually get across into Amazon Web Services. And in some instances, they're still refining those today. We hired a lot of people, and I'll mention it again, we're still hiring. And you know, we shifted to agile ways of working. In the background to this, we took our ownership for our own tech desk, our own operations command center, and the question asked earlier, you know, about do you have a NOC? Well, yes, I have a NOC. In fact, I actually manage 40 people in Manila who run a NOC for me. So we've not entirely transitioned to this DevOps model. But one of the things we are looking at, obviously, we have been looking at, is how we consolidate our tooling. So just give you a view of the actual timeline, you know. So we started back in 2013 when our CIO effectively, or CTO effectively set that challenge to us. We've adopted the cloud. We've moved to Amazon Web Services primarily. We are looking to move to a degree of cloud neutrality in terms of where we store our data, because our business is our data. We've undertaken a cultural change. That was a significant step change in our organization. And the only thing I would say to anybody in here, if you're thinking about doing this again, or thinking about doing this, you really do need to focus on the people in your organization, because it is very easy to leave people behind on this journey, okay? Ways of working. We've shifted a lot of our development teams from what was a waterfall approach into an agile and Kanban approach. We still have teams that operate with an ITIL focus, or they actually operate in a waterfall space. But actually, it's quite appropriate to what they do, because they're supporting things like end-user services or COTS applications, yeah? So these are off-the-shelf products. So it's not necessarily appropriate for those to move in that direction. And one of the things we did define, we created what we called ETOM, which is our, basically, program of work to actually move to a target operating model with new sets of KPIs. So in 2016 and 2017, we were kind of halfway through this cloud migration. And we'd given people quite a high degree of autonomy through this journey. And actually, what that actually meant is we'd employed lots and lots of clever people who had some preferences for tools. Lots of them. Lots and lots of tools. So we realized we really needed to do something different with our existing tooling. We needed to consolidate that tooling in the organization. And this slide is not my slide, actually. It's my boss's slide at the time. I hate the colors on it, but it's just one of those things. But these were our goals. Yeah, this is what we set out to do with New Relic. So in about 2017, we signed a contract to cover all of our infrastructure, a significant number of synthetics, to deploy APM, a little bit of browser, and I think we've got some other stuff in there as well that I'll get to probably next year. So effectively what we decided to do is embed New Relic in our target operating model. And we're going to transform this organization, we're going to change the way we work, and we're actually going to deploy some new tooling. So this was our very high-level approach. Yep. So a lot of people always ask me, why didn't you do APM first? Because that's the thing that gives you lots of value. Well, part of the reason we didn't do APM was because we had a huge amount of white noise coming out of our infrastructure monitoring at the time. We had every tool under the sun sending alerts left, right, and center. So we decided to do infrastructure. We had some tools that we needed to replace, and there were some cost benefits to doing that on an ongoing basis. So we wanted to create some operational dashboards in the organization to actually really understand and gain some insights. New Relic has actually allowed us to do that. And one of the things that we've started to try and do more recently is to set up a new Relic guild to actually capture some of the best practices from the teams in our organisation and actually drive some of those teams to become advocates for standard configuration, capturing standard instrumentation and doing standard reports. All of this was supported with fantastic customer success manager, Simon, who's probably at the back of the room looking after my laptop, and a group of lots of other people who've undertaken lots and lots of training and provide us with some guidance, because effectively, guys, they work with a lot of customers. They've got a really deep industry understanding. So what are the outcomes? You know, we've embedded the tooling within an ecosystem. It services both ITIL services and agile ways of working. We have optimized our kind of incident management approach. We've got significantly better detection rates across the estate. We've made massive cost savings by actually just reducing that white noise. From our perspective, we've got a significant amount of transparency in terms of the way our applications actually perform and are used across the estate. We've got some way to go. Yeah, we need to get our instrumentation right across the estate. And I think for me, the key one is that we have that really holistic view of the end-to-end reliability of our products. We understand today when things fail, why they fail. Yeah? You can actually see at a really granular level within the products we care about, our tier 1s and tier 2s, what we're able to do. So we've achieved the goal. And one of the key things that was set out as one of my key goals for this was to reduce the amount of time our developers spent on call. Effectively, I built an operations command center to explicitly do that. And actually, we've tuned our products so that actually our level 2 support teams are picking up and driving out as many of those incidents and issues that we've historically had. So KPIs in the future. You know, today, this is where we're at. We measure detection and resolution timescales. We respond to alarms and alerts. And we manage and triage incidents. Yeah? In the future, we need to turn this on its head. An awful lot of the solutions that New Relic talked about next door actually potentially facilitate this. You know, we actually want to measure the actions we're taking to avoid incidents, yeah, rather than measuring the incident we just had, so being much more proactive. We do want to automate and codify responses, and actually we're building kind of a new target operating model within our organisation that actually allows us to do that. So rather than having a human element to make decisions, actually want to take some of that human element out of the organisation, particularly for where we're getting repeat incidents, etc. I'd much rather automate something than have a warm body sat there doing it 30 times a day. And one of the things I think that we've really started to do is to manage out and correlate some false positives. There's some really interesting stuff that we're talking about next door that I hadn't seen before I pulled this slide together, that I'm fascinated by in terms of the AI space, that I think we can actually make a real difference for. So I think we started along the journey to our DevOps organisation. Yeah, I think we've got part of the way there. We now see SRE coming up on the agenda, and we actually see that as being something slightly different from the DevOps position. So I think that's probably where we're going to go in the future to actually kind of meet those key KPIs. So you guys have seen this slide before. Yeah. This is where I want to be in 2020, which is it's a very, very simplified slide, but it's definitely a different approach. There's kind of SRE, looks like the last release caused a problem. A, he can see there was a release, yeah. B, he knows there's a problem, yeah. And C, he's got a new job title, yeah. Product manager, that's not me anymore, right? So I'm not even getting out of bed, I'm not even in this, yeah. And I said, great, can you fix it? Yeah, developer. Like all great developers, yeah, love to sleep. And the customers, they think we've got great products, they love the features, they love the functionality, because we've released our developers to actually deliver the enrichment within our products that actually effectively delivers the revenue across the board. So, SRE. Yeah, it's done, found the issue easily. Top job, you guys rock. So, key lessons learned. And this is actually in direct conflict, really, with some of the conversations we're going on next door, but I did this slide pack a few days ago. For me, it's about defining your KPIs in detail. You really need to understand exactly what it is you're going to deploy New Relic to achieve. Yeah? What are the key indicators in terms of your products and your services? How are you going to instrument those so that they surface the information that you require in your organisation to drive the performance of your applications and services? Understand your outcomes, yep. So you've got lots of stakeholders, and they've all got a different view of exactly what it is they want from New Relic, whether or not that's your CTO, who just wants a very simple dashboard of every single product, or whether or not it's your digital customer experience teams, where they actually really want to understand when the product is degraded, how many bugs there are within the product, when we're doing the next release, is that release going to fix the bug that they've got 500 tickets for on your customer services teams? And really, that drives that instrumentation that delivers stakeholder outcomes. Now, this is the conflicting bit. My view is you don't instrument or measure unless you actually intend to take action. What I mean is don't do stuff to achieve things that you don't care about. Yeah? Focus on the things that you actually want from your product. And I think I'll go back to it. I mentioned it a little earlier on. Don't forget the culture change. This is really, really important in this journey. I don't think we're entirely through it. I still think we have some guys who work in sysops and some guys who work as developers. That's kind of a natural thing in our organization fundamentally because we've got guys who work on COTS applications and they are developers in that particular area. We've got guys who support SaaS solutions. So you're always going to get that sort of cultural challenge across the board. I think we are getting there as a business, and I do think we've actually made significant changes in the organization to achieve that. I look at we've got some guys in here from Science Direct, one of our flagship products, and I look at the way those guys work, and that's an aspiration that we should really be sharing across the whole organization. So really at the end there, I just want to say thank you to New Relic for allowing me to talk today. Hopefully you found that insightful, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.